All right, guys, who is new here? As we're getting started, guys, we'd like to introduce new people at the very beginning. Who's first time with us this morning? I know it's just a few people
This
already.
is this is Alan. This is my first time from Savannah, Georgia.
Hey, Alan. Alan, I've seen your name before. You sure it's your first time?
Yeah. Well, no. Actually, this is my second time. I was on here last week, I think it was. Yeah, you're right. You're right. This is my second time, but this is my first time speaking. The last time I'm a truck driver. The last time I was driving, I couldn't speak.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Welcome. How are things down in Savannah?
It's here. I'm still trying to get my first flip.
Oh, wonderful. Wait, and so you are working as a truck driver and you down in Savannah and how are things down there? Like what's the development? How are you guys looking with this? Last time we were down there, it's a big and all the
Yeah,
trees.
there's a lot of good things going on. Um, you know what? I'm gonna have to get back to you. Can I do that?
You sure can.
All right. Thank you.
Matt Thomas, it said his first time in a Zoom. Hey, Matt.
Oh my gosh, really, Matt? The twin, the brother? Hey Matt, how you doing? All right, guys, we're allowing people to just come in just for a few moments there. Let's see here as we get started. So just a few things, guys. Welcome. First off, welcome. It's your first time. Welcome to the Atlanta and the South Zoom. Um, we are Chris and I just there's some things that just want to just kind of bring up. If you guys haven't followed us, we are in Facebook as Atlanta Subject to Community, and that's Subject to spelled out, not sub to, but Subject to Community. We also have a Instagram that is Atlanta Sub to, and that is like spelled like sub to. So that's sub and two together. So please follow us in that. That's kind of where we keep a lot of our communications and things going. We will be having not our first, I keep saying first, yeah, our third or this month's live meetup will be in Roswell. So the Roswell meetup location would be this Tuesday. It would be in, I think it's From the Roots. Is that correct, Shelly? From the Roots? Is that the name of the brewery? Is in Roswell,
And
Georgia.
it's from the earth
From the Earth.
from the earth brewery.
So from the Earth Brewery in Roswell. So they will be this Tuesday at 6:30. This coming up Tuesday. That's going to be the live meetup. And you guys are here meeting us every Friday in our Atlanta and the South Zoom, which is here in the Zoom. So welcome, guys. And this Saturday we're gonna have a in-person meet up with the tour of our co-living and path split. So that's what we're gonna have there. So those are the events that we have going on. But please follow us in Facebook and social media. That's where we keep all the updates. Okay, and that's what we have in terms of what's going on. Chris, I'm just going down the list here. So sorry, guys. I'm just kind of
Housekeeping.
yes, housekeeping. Guys, if you have any question, please raise your hand. Let's try to stay in line and not just kind of jump ahead of time there. And let's see here, guys. So we are in the last month of the quarter. Does anybody have anything exciting going on? What do you guys have going on out there?
I think there's Jeff. It's his first time here. Jeff, do you want to come in, introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey everybody. Jeff Ridgway here. I'm up in Roswell, so I will absolutely see you guys on the other side of 400 on Tuesday. Uh, I met a few of you, Pat in particular. We exchanged a couple of texts at the PACE meetup after the Aspire conference
Okay.
several weeks ago. And so I joined Gator this week, and I'm a real estate agent licensed in Georgia and been in real estate for a few years, but have had a W-2 in healthcare for over 20 years. And so, yeah, I'm looking to dive in the real estate side of things, the investor side of things. Chris, thank you for replying back on the co-listing. I have there's a friend that's looking for a place, and Pad Split was the
Oh,
reference that
that
you
was
shared. So,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
it's so
so
funny because you asked that, and we just have a possibility. It's not sub two, right, Pat? That property in Roswell, that's more like a flip, right?
Yeah, more like a flip. Yes, that's correct.
Uh,
yeah,
but
so I love the idea of the co-living and I could see the need for that. And I've got friends that are coming up that are saying, hey, we want to downsize from what we're doing. It's just me. I need something less expensive, and seems like a great idea. So anywho, welcome.
Yes, no,
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
welcome.
I remember. Yes. Thank you. Okay, Chris. So, anything else on your end, Chris? Anything we need to go over a little bit before we get started?
No, that's it, guys. So excited for tomorrow. We do have a couple of people from our Zoom that are coming, and I'm very excited to show our beautiful properties first of all, and talk about funding and how we're doing to it's just so exciting because as you guys know, I started doing co-living just like in November. And like I walk into the properties, I mean, we do that all the time, but especially lately because we just got one of our properties fully booked and just meeting everybody. And I mean, it's been great. It feels really good too. So it's not only the cash flow. To me, it feels like, wow, this is amazing. We're helping a lot of people to have a home to live in. Hi, Tisha.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for you, Christiana. It's just amazing. I'm out of town, so I won't be able to come on the co-living tour. But I just wondered if you guys would just give me just like a little snippet for me, a newbie. I've only been in the group since November, but tell me a little bit about what you got from Squat Up and why it's important maybe for a newbie or I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by so much that I'm learning, even though I knew a lot. And I kind of got shiny object syndrome a little bit. So I just kind of like you to chat on that, if you wouldn't mind.
Are you, Tish, are you asking about, you say Squat Up?
Yeah, yes.
So it's one of those, man, I did my piece on it, right? So
Okay.
it's one of those things where this is one verbiage that I got that Pace has said, right? You never know who holds the key to your treasure. You
Okay.
never know who holds the keys to your treasure. It could be someone next door. It could be so. So I think if to put it all into for me to put Squat Up all into one thing, so you never know who's out there. So I'm excited for Squat Up because it's obviously the network of people, but it's having it's like and maybe if you don't understand it, I grew up in the South, right? I grew up in a church, so it's like you're in a congregation and everybody is in the same what do you call it, frequency, right? And there, and you all have the same frequency. So I think being in that energy that kind of gets you going. So that's what I love about it. Like sometimes you just gotta let it just go and not try to overthink it, and just keep kind of the simple things, but keep an open hand. Does that make sense? Like, so it's just one of those things. I know I'm talking like a little bit in the analogy of like religion, but like closed mouths doesn't get fed. Closed hand, when you don't give out, you can't take too. So it's just one of those things where I think that's the way I see it when I go out there. So that's what I'm excited about, because you never know. And then as you are on the other part of it, as you are being there and you're meeting the people that are doing the thing that you want to do, right? You're like, wow, they're just like me. And sometimes you think that they're not any smarter than me. They're just doing the thing. They're taking the steps, and I didn't take the steps. Let me go along with it. So it gives you that boost, a different mindset where I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. That's my feedback on Squat Up.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, on my end, guys, it's one of the best conference I've ever attended. Like I was so excited during the whole 4 days, 5 days. I was tired when we came home, but I was sad because a lot of people that are all talking about their business, how they can help you, how you can help them. So it's like amazing. In the energy in the room, like what Pace does with everybody working there, you feel so welcome and you feel part of this biggest thing. Feels amazing. Like a lot of people that do deals, like if you need money, you're gonna have the entire gator there. If you need wholesalers, you're gonna have wholesalers of the entire universe there. So it depends on what you do. Like I would suggest for you or anybody going there to be intentional. What do I need? Because it's a lot of people. Have your blank, get everybody's information, write some notes. Once you come back, very important, follow up. Go get on a call, Zoom call with them. That's how you build a relationship. So you can get a lot of stuff from Squad Up. It's a lot of people. It's amazing. You're gonna love it. Like we were up until 2 a.m. Like people, the conference was over probably like 9 p.m. some nights, right, Pat? And we
Yeah,
went to the hotel lobby and everybody was still there and talking about business and doing things. Like it's amazing. I think you should go so you see how it is, but go with the intention, like this is what I need, and I'm gonna go in there and meet as much people as I can, or as many people as I can, and then come home and follow back up and set up meetings. That's what you should do for the following 2 weeks after you come back. And then
exactly.
you're gonna see. Oh, yes.
Talking about
Well,
that,
go
I have
ahead.
there's a guy in our community from last year when I was at Squad Up. I met the guy. It was like unintentional. We were just kind of having conversations talking about Atlanta. I met the guy that so I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. So now I know who to go to when I need that funding on my apartment complex.
Awesome. So, okay, I have a follow-up question. I just saw the email that it's sold out. So, how do you suggest I get a ticket?
Ooh.
Get a ticket. So there,
There's people selling. You sometimes you see on Sub2 or
The
Gator people
Facebook group.
selling. Oh,
Uh-huh.
yes. If I see anything, I'll tag you, but
Okay.
I think I saw a couple of days ago.
I
Okay.
can say hi, Christine. This Mando. I saw. Let me
Hi,
put my camera.
Mando.
Hi. I
Hi,
saw
Mando.
Cat. Hi. I saw Catherine Carlson. She's in Owners Club. I believe she
Oh,
posted. I think yesterday.
Okay.
But I believe yesterday was the last day that tickets could be transferred.
Oh, no.
So I think the deadline was yesterday.
uh, I would still try. Email them, email support. Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
You
Yes, I'm
said you
sure.
said Mundo, Kathleen Mundo?
I'll post her name so you can, I'll post
Okay.
it in the chat. Let me go
Okay.
find it and I'll post
Okay.
it there and you can reach out. I saw it last night.
Thank you so
All
much.
right,
I
anytime.
appreciate it.
Take it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
amazing, amazing. Well, guys, let's get
Thank you,
started.
Mando.
We're so excited for today. So, all right, guys. So we have a special guest today. So our guest is Stella Han from Fractional. Guys, have you ever thought about, hey, I can't get into a deal because I'm not accredited. I can't get into a deal because I don't have $50,000. I don't have $100,000. Well, that's in this case, guys. You don't have to. Okay, and we're gonna bring Stella on. We're gonna talk a little bit more about how can I get into a deal? How can I get into a fund, a club? How can I invest? How can I get into these deals with with this multifamily? How can I get to the deals with Christiani? And she has these fix and flips and this co-living. How can I get into these deals? So that's what we have that's what our guest is going to talk about today. Is like how can I have as a minimum of let's say $5,000, but I want to get into a deal because I want to learn and I want to know how to do it. So we're going to bring our guest, guys. Give a round of applause to Stella Han. Stella from Fractional, right, Stella? And
Yep, fractional. Well, thank you, Pat and Chris, for having
Hi.
me. Super excited to talk to this group. The sun is not out yet, but this group is totally worth it for me. So super excited to be here. Let me share my screen real quick.
I know it's early morning, guys. We have 50 people here this morning, so everyone's out early this morning. Well, guys, she said the sun's not out because she's on the West Coast. She's in San Francisco, as the background says there. Now, Stella, when I saw that, I was like, a lot of people have that background, but they're not from San Francisco, so I wasn't really sure. And I saw that, I was like, maybe she's in North Carolina. I wasn't sure.
Here in San Fran, but early bird gets the worm, and that's what we're all here to do. So super, super excited to chat with everyone. Just to introduce myself, my name is Stella Han. I am the CEO and co-founder of Fractional, also a real estate investor myself as well. I started investing a little bit over 6 years ago, and I've been really lucky to have built my personal portfolio to just over 150 units. Started out with the basics, just single family, long-term rentals, and then wanted to diversify my portfolio. So, got into short-term rentals when that was really hot. Lately started doing co-living as well, which I know Pat and Chris will talk a little bit more about for what they've been doing, which is really awesome. Also multifamily. So, and most of how I've actually owned my property is with partners, and that's actually how I got into my first deal. So I'll talk with everyone a little bit more about that. So when people hear 150 units, they in their head, right, think my journey is all, rainbows and it's perfect, but it is totally not that. Going from 0 to 1 was absolutely brutal. One, I didn't have a whole lot of capital when I was just starting out. And, the even scarier part was I had no idea what I was doing. As Pat mentioned, right, like I am based out of the San Francisco Bay Area, and it costs $1 million to buy a shack here. And that was not money that I had. It's also, not a landlord friendly state or area. So, I was like, wow, I can't really invest in my backyard. Like, how is this going to work? And everyone, on Bigger Pockets and different communities, everyone's talking about out of state investing, right? So Atlanta was actually the first market that I got into personally, but to make that jump, it was so scary, right? I don't live in Atlanta. I don't know the markets like the back of my hand. It just feels very, very overwhelming. And I was really scared. I didn't want to put an entire down payment and buy a house out of state where I can't really touch and feel it, and just have that be the wrong move where, all of a sudden I put my, savings into something that's just not working out. I'm bleeding money. And that was, extremely daunting to me. And for me, I had my breakthrough moment when I found, a few partners from, different networking and community events that I was a part of. So Tisha, again, go to Squad Up. And yeah, but
Yes.
from these meetings, right? Like I found some partners, they were already really experienced, they were local out in Atlanta, investing there. And, they said, hey, Stella, you can join us. We can partner together. You don't need to put the entire down payment. We can split it together. We can go into the first deal where I just needed, 10 grand to start, right? So that's actually how I went from 0 to 1. And that was such a game changer because, from a money perspective, I didn't have to feel like I was putting all my eggs in one basket for a new venture that I was getting into. And two, because it's a new venture, it felt so great to know that I was working with experienced investors who had my back, who could show me the ropes, where I could actually learn how, real estate investing works by actually doing it with people who know their stuff. So that was a total game changer for me. That's how I went from 0 to 1. And now at 150 plus, I still love partnering with people because, that is the best way to scale, right? I don't have infinite capital. I'm not made of money, right? Like I eventually get tapped out, here and there. So how do I keep growing, right? I need to bring on other partners, just like, how I was brought on, right? Other people who are willing to work with me where, we can pursue more assets, we can pursue bigger assets, right? And then another really great part about partnerships is you really get to build a team that's greater than yourself. And that's something that I love, right? You can bring in other partners who have complementary skill sets as you. So when I got into short-term rentals, I'm a numbers girl. That's, what I call my superpower. I love underwriting, I love analyzing, but I, don't really have, an ounce of creative brain cells in me, right? So when we were looking at our short-term rentals, I was like, man, like how do we like design all these guest experiences? Like how does this work? So I found partners who, were really amazing at interior design, and they actually also went and painted murals in our property. Like you can see this Travis Scott themed short-term rental on the bottom. Like I never could have pulled that off myself, right? And now, into co-living, I'm pretty new into co-living as well. I want to find partners who are experienced, who can do it with me as I'm scaling, right? So that's why, I think partnering up with people, it's really just that, magic baton that you've got to have as one of the, tools in your toolbox, right? Whether you're new and starting out and you want to really accelerate your journey, or, you're more experienced, you're looking to scale, you're looking to raise capital. So that is really, all the reasons for why we ended up building Fractional as a company, is we really wanted to create and introduce technology and build a product that can streamline people being able to form an investment club and, form partnerships when it comes to real estate investing. So we've created a whole platform. I'll give everyone a full-on demo on how that works, but essentially really unlocking a way for investors to put in as little as $5,000 to invest with other partners and have Fractional be able to help take care of everything that is from a legal setup perspective, from a back office and a compliance perspective, to really streamline this whole process so everyone can focus on partnering with the leaders that they love and actually working on their investment together. So we started the company January of 2021. So we hit our big 4-year milestone recently, which is a huge deal for me. It's been just a really, really special journey, and we've been really lucky to have some awesome investors back our company as well. We raised our Series A from Fifth Wall. They're the largest VC in real estate. Also, the National RIA is one of our partners, and also some really cool celebrities like Will Smith and Kevin Durant are on our cap table as well. So it's always really fun to mention their names. But overall, super, super motivated because we get to be a part of everyone's investment journey and help them take those first steps or scale up. And that's the reason why I'm here, right? I want to be a part of this with everyone. I want to uplift everyone. So more about yeah, go ahead, Pat.
I just want to say, so for the people that are not as smart like myself, I'm like, what is the difference between accredited investor who can't get into certain deals and people that are not? Can you dumb me down that for people like me who needs that explanation? So what is the difference? Like, what if if I want to partner up with Christiani and she's doing this project, like what is the difference, right? So like I don't have $100,000, but I've got $5,000. So explain that.
For sure. So I'll go over that real quick right now, and I'll kind of tie it into this slide. So the difference between accredited versus non-accredited in super, super basic terms is just like, do you have a lot of money? Are you super rich, right? Like that is the most basic way to explain it. Is accredited investors, they have a lot of money, right? There are certain criteria for like how much net worth you need to have outside of your primary residence. I believe it's over $1 million. How much income are you making? I think the criteria there is 250K. But it generally means you have a lot of money, right? That's what an accredited investor is. So for people that are just starting out, you might be non-accredited, right? And if you traditionally want to invest with someone, usually they're raising capital through a fund or a syndication, right? And what that is essentially it's kind of a capital structure where there are folks who are the general partners or the fund managers, meaning that they run the entire fund or the entire group, right? They make all the investment decisions, and because of that, the SEC, the government, they label this as a security, right? Because someone else is making all the decisions on how your investment is going and where your money is going. And for someone to invest in a security, they want to make sure that that person has a lot of money and is, super financially savvy, right? Which is what an accredited investor is. And, for those, right, because people are accredited and it's a fund or a syndication, what you'll likely see as the minimum investment is going to be 50K, 100K, or even more, right? Because of all these criteria and limitations, the minimum check size becomes a lot higher as well. Plus, you also have to be accredited at the same time, right? And not everyone is at that state, right? So that's really what we want to focus on, which is an investment club, which is what Fractional helps with, is really this, idea and concept of how do we allow people that, are non-accredited, that have 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, 25K, whatever it is, right? To be able to actually invest. And on top of that, have a very collaborative experience, because a lot of us here, we're not just trying to park our money in some sort of black box fund, right? We also want to learn. We also want to figure out behind the scenes how this works while growing our money at the same time, right? So that's really what an investment club is perfect for, is, not only are you getting to invest with not being accredited with a lower check size, but you actually get to actively participate in the decision making. And that is what makes it not an SEC, not a security, and you don't have to go through SEC registration because it's not a security, right? Everybody is collaborating on this together. You don't have to go file a security when you're opening a business with people, right? It's the exact same logic here. Everyone is in a club. you're making decisions together, you're collaborating. And because of that, you're learning, you get more control, and you get hands-on experience in how investing actually works.
I love
Yeah, can I just, does anybody have any questions or anything, any comments? Is everybody following this? Because this is so amazing, Stella. You know, like it's just have the opportunity to open a club and having people, because the way people usually do today, like if you have 5,000, 10,000, or you investing in somebody's deal, you have to do separate promissory notes, separate liens. It's a big, you know, like very complicated. And it's so nice to see this here and how you structure everything. So, you know, like guys, this is so amazing. Nidia, did I say your name correctly?
Yeah, this is Nick. Yeah, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I had a question for doing the fund. The is there a time, like a time horizon, if you're bringing on equity partners? Because like if I was to do something like this, I was actually talking to one of your reps the other day. Is like like do you have like is there a mandatory exit, or can you say, hey, this is a perpetual thing, we're in this for the cash flow, the tax benefits for the next 30 years? Is there anything against that or no?
No, there isn't. So that really comes down to what your club criteria is, right? So, based off of what you want to, lead your club towards when you initially, go to people in your network that, are interested in investing with you, right? Like you can define your criteria as like, hey, I think our club should be an equity play. We want to build generational wealth together. We want this club to stick around for the long term. And that's like my investment thesis. Are you open to that, right? So for other folks that are, on the same page as you, has the same goals as you, they will join that type of club, right? So that is totally possible, Lydia.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Great question.
Any other questions before I continue on?
I think we are good to continue on for now. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Nidhi asked a great question.
Simone.
Sorry, I couldn't get the screen to come up to raise my hand. I do have one more question. Once you join the fund, are you required to take part in all investments or just the ones you choose to?
Yeah, great question. So we'll actually talk about it in this slide right here. And everyone, just also from a regulatory perspective, do not call this a fund. When you're investing, you want to be really careful about what you're calling your legal structures, or else, the SEC might come knocking on your door. They likely won't, but still, we want to do things right. So this is called an investment club. The difference, as we just talked about, there are a lot of key differences. So you just want to make sure, people know it's a club and not an actual fund, because it's collaborative and it makes it not a security. So that's a very, very key difference. So just to be mindful of, how you call things, especially when you're out there marketing, putting things on social media. That's where there's a lot of eyes at. But going back to, how an investment club works, right? So even for people that are, raising capital, traditionally, what people will do is, they will find a property first, put it under contract, and then be like, oh, I need money to buy this property. Let me go fundraise money for this deal. But now a lot is on the line, right? You've gotten this property under contract. You've paid some EMD already. There's some closing date you've agreed on with the seller, and you don't have the money, right? You're in a rush to find all the money in, let's say 2 weeks. And if you don't find it, then it sucks, right? You lose the whole deal. You lose your EMD. It's a whole thing that you don't want to be a part of. And it's just a super stressful experience. And, the reason why the club is such a game changer around that too is because what we've noticed is a lot of leaders, right, even like what Nydia is saying, they often already have a buy box or a criteria that they're looking for, and that doesn't change per deal, right? So, Chris, right, she does fix and flips. Pat does co-living, right? Like they have a criteria for what they look for when they're going out and buying a flip and flipping it. Like there's probably a target, purchase price, a target rehab budget, a target ARV, right? Those things, they don't change every deal, right? For what your end goal is. So the idea with an investment club that's really amazing is you can tell people, right, what your criteria is, and then show case studies of deals you've done in the past that, prove that this criteria is valid, it's, reasonable and achievable, right? You want to make sure that people don't feel like you're just pulling up, a scenario that is not even realistic just out of your butt, right?
Stella,
Are you going to?
I just want to add to that, guys. I've lost probably 3 deals in the past, 3 months because of that situation, right? I mean, these are really even low entry. We can talk about it on the next phase, but it's like a very low entry deals, and I've lost deals because, I've got it under contract, everything's good. I couldn't get the funding on time. Like it's just one of those things where bringing Stella on is part of my pain because I went through that and I was like, man, it sucks. Like I've lost 3 deals. They were pretty decent deals because the funding didn't go through when I needed to go through. So I just wanted to kind of explain that. So this is the reason why I love this option, and this is the reason why Stella's on, because part of that is because we've lost deals before. So that's just it. And for us, like she said, we have the criteria. We know what we're doing. We're basically copy and pasting what we're doing. But it's just one of those things where when the fund is not ready, we lose deals. It happens every single day.
Yeah, exactly. So, especially when it's a great deal, you need to move fast, right? And, great deals don't wait for people, right? You've got to have the capital ready. You got to know who you're working with. And especially for folks that have a criteria, that should be very simple to explain, have the case studies, prove your point, and then, gather all the investors who are down and, and aligned to do the same thing, right? So everyone will pull their funds over this specific criteria. And then the next part, step 3, this is, the first phase of really where the collaboration happens, right? So Simone, related to your question, what happens here is, the club leader, let's say Pat and Chris, right? They will bring deals to the club that they think fit the criteria, right? So let's say co-living, for example, right? So Pat will be like, hey, to the club members, I found this deal, it's creative, it's what we talked about. Well, we're going to make, this income from the projections. Let's underwrite it together. Do we think it fit the criteria? And are we good with deploying our funds and buying this deal, right? So all the investors here, they get the opportunity to vote. And, the group will likely set some sort of voting, threshold for what does the club determine as a consensus where they're good to move forward with actually acquiring this property. And what we've seen is something that's really common is, having one business day where all the club members get to review everything together with the club leader. And then, as long as 80% of the club agrees that, the specific deal fits the investment club thesis, that's, a lot of members in the club. Likely, it fits the thesis, it's good to go. So the entire club will move forward on actually investing in that specific opportunity. So that's, a way that, the club can, collaborate and make a decision on whether or not they're going to buy a specific deal. And that also, gives enough confidence where, the club is likely doing the right thing, right? Because, for example, if Pat said, we're doing co-living in Atlanta, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, I found a short-term rental in Austin. No one is going to vote yes on that, right? Like that clearly doesn't make any sense. It clearly wasn't the original criteria or the thesis of the club. And, you're never going to get 80% of the people to vote yes on that, right? Because that clearly does not fit, the investment criteria. So that, majority kind of like packed action, that's something where, things need to make sense for people to reach that point. And that also just builds confidence that the club is aligned, they're moving in the right direction, and they want to do the same.
Stella, Jen B, she asked if they can use the funds from the self-direct IRA to invest in a club.
Yes, you can.
We're not calling it fund anymore, guys. It's club.
Yeah, club. But yes, you can invest. You can invest as yourself, just as yourself as an individual. You can use your LLC to invest. You can use your self-directed IRA. All of those are possible to invest in the club.
Awesome. Is there a
Yeah.
link to the case study? I think, is there a live link to the case study? Tisha's asking.
Yeah, so Tisha, I'll get to that in a bit. I think Pat and Chris actually have something special to talk about, so I don't want to jump the gun here. But yes, whenever there is a club that is launching, there will be, a live link. Pat and Chris are actually going to launch one soon, so we're going to share a QR code about that in just a second. But yes, every time there is a club launching, folks will likely, host a Zoom call. So, we can all go over what the strategy is together, meet the club leaders, answer any questions. And then from there on, once the club is actually formed, the leaders will work really collaboratively. So, whenever, they're bringing a specific deal, right, they might do a pretty extensive write-up. They might host another short Zoom just to explain like, hey, we found this specific property. Are we good? And then give people the opportunity to vote.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I always talk about it, open up a fund, just to get more people to invest on our deals or, like any investor. And this year, I mean, you can do that, all of that without spending thousands with attorney and, like in this year, Stella, so how flexible is it? Like if I have Pat and I have a club and we do fix and flip, we do co-living, maybe in the future we want to do something else. How flexible it is for if we have one thing, like how does it work? Like can we create several different little clubs inside the club?
Yeah, exactly. So you can create multiple clubs for different, strategies that you have. Each club also doesn't just have to buy one property. You can, say, hey, the idea of the club is we want to do 5 flips, in the next quarter, right?
Yeah.
So people can pool enough capital where, the club has enough funds to do that. And that's a great diversification opportunity for people as well, right? Now you're not just splitting funds on one property, right? You're putting your money in the club and the club together is buying 5. So, you're also,
Nice.
diversifying and not putting all your eggs in
And,
one
and
basket.
I love the fact that you can structure as a private money lender, like bringing capital partners, or you can do equity partners. I think that's so amazing. And you guys take care of all the legal aspects of everything, right? Like get everybody. Yeah, can you touch a little bit on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll show everyone actually live on the platform how all of this works. So Fractional, we handle the entire, capital raising, club formation process and everything, once a club is formed, as long as the club is active and, everyone is investing, we take care of everything back office, compliance, taxes, all that as well. So I'll share on my screen here. A lot of folks here probably know Pace Morby, and Pace, launched a $1 million investment club on Fractional. And this is the first stage, right? It's showing people what your club is even about, right? So what is the investment thesis for Pace specifically in this example? They want to be lenders together, right? They want to be private money lenders. So that's what they're pulling their capital for, is to lend money to borrowers at, their target 12% annualized interest, right? And then if you, pasted a Zoom, right? So you can go to the Zoom, understand what this club is about, and you're like, yes, I love this club. I love the thesis. I want to be a part of it. So what happens next is I'm personally investing in this deal, which is why it says edit deposit. Usually it'll say complete deposit. And, it's super straightforward. You just need to type in, whatever is the amount that you want to invest in. The minimum for each club is set by each club leader. So generally on the Fractional platform, the minimum is $5,000, but you can see that it might be different for each club depending on how big it is, and how many people the club leader wants to work with, right? So in this example, because the target is $1 million, Pace is not trying to work with more than 100 people in his club. Like that's a lot of people, right? So that's why he set the minimum to 10K. Pat and Chris will decide what their minimum will be. Anyways, going back to this, right? You put how much you want to invest in, and then the first step that happens is we have this lock-in deposit. And this is really important because for the club leaders, right? they want to make sure whoever says that they're interested in investing and wants to be a part of the club is actually serious, right? And realistically, when people talk about verbal commitments, those are not really commitments, right? Like people will say they're interested for a million things, and then when it's time to actually bring the capital to the table, a verbal commitment doesn't mean anything, right? People can flake on you, and that is not a good time for the club leader. It's not a good time for the other members who are serious, who are like expecting other people to join them. Overall, we don't like verbal commitments, which is why there is this 2% lock-in deposit. You just put up immediately 2% of whatever you're investing in, right? It's enough where, everybody knows you're serious, but also not a whole lot where, I saw a question earlier about like, if there's a ton of money, like, are we going to make interest? What's happening there? That's what the deposit is for, right? It's just a small amount, so we know you're serious, but you can still make interest in your, personal bank accounts, while everybody is still pulling their funds together, right? So that's what this deposit is for. And then the second part here is identity verification. That's another really important part of the platform, is that we require the club leader and all of the members participating to verify their identity. And that's to make sure, everybody in the club is who they say they are. No one's some sort of scammer. No one's on, the financial crimes list or anything like that, right? So it just keeps the club a safe space where everybody is going through the same sort of vetting. So, hey, I had to upload my information. I was checked out. Everyone else in my group is checked out as well. Any questions so far before I jump into the legal stuff?
There's some questions on the chat, a lot of questions. Yara is asked, what is the exits for the properties acquired by the club? Buy and hold?
Yeah, so Yara, that's really going to depend on the club strategy, right? So usually when the club leaders start talking about their strategy, they will, say what their ideal exit strategy is, right? So I'll give a personal example. So I personally buy small multifamily, and when I'm getting into a partnership, I like to know that there is an exit strategy in mind. So usually what I will say is, for me personally, right? Like I might say, hey, the exit strategy is that, we can either sell at year 5, or, we can do a refinance at year 3, and, give people the opportunity to either exit then, or if you want to stay on, you have the option to like buy out existing investors, right? So those are just some examples of what exit strategies can be. You really will want to just look at, what that specific club leader is offering for what they think is the ideal club exit strategy.
So Darina is saying I'm sorry I'm late. What will happen in case of default or loss?
Darina, are you just asking like if the investment that the club pursued isn't doing well?
Yeah, it's your responsibility to pay out everybody.
Well, I mean, all investments come with a risk, right? Like that's something you should consider, and that's, due diligence is the responsibility of every investor, right? Like, I wish, people would guarantee returns, but that is not realistic, right? Like nobody does that, right? Like an investment inherently has risk. So, so Darina, cross collateral or personal guarantee, that is only specific if you're lending money to a borrower, right? That is not a that really just depends on if the club is focused on private money lending. So if your club is, right, if your club is about lending money to borrowers, then yes, right? Like if you're more risk averse, you can say, hey, our club will only lend money if the borrower is willing to, be a personal guarantor and put, or be a first position note, right? Where we have first position to the asset, right? Like that could be a criteria that you have, and it could be a criteria where it's like, I only want to invest in clubs that have that kind of take and risk tolerance as me, right? Does that answer your question, Darina?
Yeah, Stella, I think you can put it this way, right? The fractional is just like a window for people to shop for deals and invest in deals. what you guys are offering is for the investor side, is the legal compliance, all of that to make it easier. And
Yeah.
for people that are putting their money, you telling them, hey, this is the platform for you guys to communicate. You can see a lot of other deals everywhere in the United States. You guys are not going through each one of the borrower, vetting them, underwriting their deals. That's not what you guys are doing. This is just like everything else that we see out there, correct? Because I just want to make sure, yeah, because I think that's what, people kind of asking, what is the exits and that you guys have no control over that, right? Everybody should be doing their due diligence.
Yes, exactly. So Fractional, we're just the platform, right? We're
Yes.
just the platform that is helping everyone set up the club and run the club, right? But what the
Yes.
club is actually doing, that is really up to the club leader and yourself and your fellow club members for whatever club you're participating, right? And people run all sorts of clubs on Fractional, right? Like people have private money lending clubs, people have co-living clubs, people have fix and flip clubs, people even have business acquisition clubs, right? Like the clubs and how the clubs operate, that is, a collective decision for
Right.
you to make with your club leader, right? You get to choose which club you actually want to be a part of. You want to make sure you're working with a club leader on a strategy you actually believe in, right? If you wanna lend money, then join a private money lending club, right? Don't join a short-term rental club, right?
Right.
So and then you want to pick a club that the exit strategy also aligns with your exit strategy.
Okay, sounds good. And I think Simone has her hand raised or her hand raised. Hi,
Yes.
Simone.
Hi. I just wanted to clarify. Um, when you get into the club, you put your minimum investment amount. Let's say you invest 10,000. And then a deal comes along that you want to get involved in. On that deal, you're required to put 2.5%. That is the required, I think you said, I forgot what you called it, like the hold for a deposit. Is that correct?
So the deposit is collected when you join the club already. So
Okay.
when you initially join the club, you're paying 2% lock-in deposit, right? So then once the club actually fills up, that's when everyone knows like, hey, there was actually enough interested members. The club is moving forward because it's reached the amount of capital that it needs to pull together. So that's when, we will form the actual LLC, which is the legal structure for the club. We're going to
Okay.
have our team create a customized operating agreement. We're going to, open the business account for the club. And then everyone is going to, submit the remaining of their, 98% of their funds, plus, sign the operating agreement, which has been created, right? So at this point, now it's like, the club has officially formed, and the club leaders are going to be actively bringing deals for the club to vote on and deploy their capital on already.
Oh, great question, Simone. And Jose asked, what is the typical size of a club? Is there any minimum or maximum number of members in a club?
Yeah, Jose, great question. So from what we've seen, I mean, you can make the club any size you want. What we've seen as more popular on Fractional is people, raising, I would say at least, 200 to 250K plus, just because that's the value of creating a club, right? Is that you can have more people be involved, you can raise more capital, and you can, buy bigger or more projects, right? So that's usually like what we see as generally the more popular like minimum club size.
Yeah, but the amount of members, is there a minimum? I think that's what his question is, right?
Yeah, so minimum, I mean, you need at least more than one person, right, for it to be any sort of partnership. So you could have a club that's just, 2 or 3 people. That's totally fine. Maximum, it is 100 people per club.
Okay.
Once you're, legally 100 people is the maximum you can have in a club.
Okay, good. Okay, Calvin, you have a question?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I do have
I do have a quick question, Stella. So, say if I invest into the club, I put my money in, and also could I also have like say a fix and flip? Could I also use this club to invest in my fix and flip, or is that like a conflict of interest or something like that?
So it really just depends on what the club thesis is, right? Like if you join a club that's not investing in fix and flips, then it wouldn't really make sense to ask the club if they can invest in your fix and flip. But if that's, your main strategy, right, then you should form a club where it's like, hey, this club is specifically for investing in my fix and flips. These are, the returns that I'm targeting. Can we, are there investors who want to join my club for that? Does that make sense, Calvin?
And I think
Yeah.
Kevin answered that question too for Stella too. I would say it's not impossible, right? Let's just say, for example, because I think Chris and I are actually, as we were talking about, we are starting a club too.
Definitely.
Talk about shortly here, but it's just one of those things where if we're in a club together and we're joining teams and we're collaborating together, you can say, hey guys, I've got this deal. What do you guys think? We can all look at that deal. We can all vote on that deal. We're like, oh, this is a great deal. Let's move forward with that deal. Does that make sense? So I think that the answer is yeah, it's possible. As long as the club votes and move along together. Because that's the thing, guys. It's just like one of those things. Like Christiane always asks the question, right? She's like, what's holding you guys back? Like what is holding you back? Like we're in this, guys, and I'm gonna say like this, guy. This is not for everyone. Okay, half of you guys, probably 80% of you guys, are probably not even gonna take action. All right, it's not gonna happen. Like you guys we see you guys here all the time. I'm just telling the truth. Sorry if it hurts anyone's feeling. I'm just saying the truth. So people are gonna say, oh, this is a great idea. But you sitting on the sidelines. You're gonna sit in that sidelines for the next year. We'll be here. We'll have, probably 20 flips and apartment complexes, and I'm telling you guys, I'm sorry, you guys are just not going to do it. I know you guys are still going to sit in the sidelines. So this is not for everyone. So I just want to say that. I just want to speak the truth for that, right? So that is. But if you do want to do it, it gives you an opportunity to say, I got $5,000. And that $5,000, I'm going to be a part of it. I'm going to learn. I'm going to kind of see how to do it, and it might give you a boost. And
Can I add something, Pat? Like what I think for
Josh,
me,
all right.
the way that I
Nice to meet
see
you.
it.
So,
Okay, let me mute Josh.
the actual outlet, maybe a little bit higher. So maybe like,
Okay. No, the way that I see Stella, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is to me is the platform for investors that are, and operators to come together. And then for me as an operator, I see that as my pitch deck, right? So I put, hey guys, like I'm here raising capital for my fix and flip, or so if I'm gonna do fix and flip, I need to show, my track record and talk about exit strategies and all of that, the same way that I would present a deal to my investors, correct?
Yes.
Stella? Okay. Okay, good. Because I think that helps to people to, okay, this is it. And then, for example, Calvin said, oh, if I want to do for something else, you can have as long, you got to make sure that you have something strong that people wanted to invest in your deal. That's where, the track record, whatever you're doing, if you have several exits, for the deal, that's what people want to look at and make sure that you're solid. But
So say if I
anybody
have,
from all over, like Calvin, like there's people that love to invest in Georgia. It's amazing, to put it there, and they know there's some states that people want to come in and invest their money. So yes, go ahead.
so if I have 5K that I want to invest in fractional and I want to get a return on that, and then so if I have a fix and flip here on the side that I want to get funded out of the same club. So you say I can get a return not only on my investment, but also on fix and flip as well.
Yes,
So Calvin,
I think
yeah. So Calvin,
yeah,
you're asking for two scenarios where you're on the two different sides of the table for each of
yes,
those. Okay. The first one you talked about, it's you're investing $5,000 into a club, right? So in that case,
Correct.
you're a club member, you're not the club leader, right? So in that case, it's like as a club, you all are deciding together how your money as a club is being deployed. Like, what are you guys actually buying, or or what are you guys actually lending money to, right? So that's the first piece. The second piece you talked about is like, how do I get people to fund my own flips, right? So that could be, if you joined a lending club, then yeah, the lending club can also look at funding your flips too. Or, you could also be a club leader and run a club where people are focused on, investing in your flips, right? Does that make sense? Like the differences here?
Yeah, okay. So basically, I think I see what you're saying. I can't. So say if Christine is the leader of our professional club, and I put in $5,000. So if I have a fix and flip that I bring into the club, we're all pretty much investing in this fix and flip together if we all agree upon to move forward on that particular deal.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I see what you're saying. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay. It's more of a club effort because everybody invested in it. So I'm thinking, okay, I have this fix and flip here, y'all. Could I bring this in? You know, say if I pay for it, but I need the funding from the club to do the actual fix and flip. You know what I'm saying? So
I,
do I get
that way.
paid double? You see what I'm saying? So it's
It's,
just
well, but the thing is, like, when you're in the club, you guys are already committed together, right? Like, does that make sense? You're committed.
oh, okay, got it.
I
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Let's take a look at my deal. Of course, we're gonna, because we're here. The thing is, what I love about it, guys, it just makes you committed to say, "Hey, I'm gonna put in 5K. Put your money where your mouth is." All right, like, no, don't just come, don't just
Yeah,
talk. Action takers only. Take actions. So at least you know that. Hey, you know what? I've got five. Because guys, I'm telling you, raise your hand. How many people got $5,000 saved that says been sitting there and you've been
A
waiting,
lot, a
waiting?
lot,
Okay,
a lot of people.
having that money and say, hey, let's do it. And some people may put in, 100,000, but at least you're a part of the deal and you can learn part of the deal. So I think that's the important part. That's what I think is interesting. But guys, just for the sake of time, we got 4 hand raises. So let's get to the hand raising because we are just kind of running. It's 10 o'clock already, so we could probably go for another like 30 minutes. I think everyone's interested, and it's an amazing topic. So let's start with the hand.
Tisha.
Hey, I just had a question about, thank you so much. Just thank you. This is just amazing. But I just had a question about time frames. When we're getting into deals, speed is of the essence. So how do you as a group quickly look at deals? Like, what is your time frame? How does that voting process work? I'm not quite sure I understand that. Thanks.
I,
Yeah.
so
Great
Stella,
question.
let me answer that first, guys. So, for us, right? So for our club that we are starting, we look at deals daily. I mean, seriously, like we look at probably a dozen deals a day, right? So it's just one of those things. It's like when we find the deal, when we're going to pull the trigger, and when's the funding available. Like this is the reverse. This is why I love it because it's one of those things where we look at deals and we're like, man, this is a pretty good deal. But then to go raise the capital, we get all the people where they need to put their money where their mouths is because they're like, oh, I love it, I love it. Send me the deal. So I'm sending over, a dozen deal to a dozen people, and everybody is like, I want to see more. I want to see more. By the time they decide they're going to put the deal, we lost the deal. The deal's already gone because deals need to close fast. When we get a deal in the contract, it's usually a 2-week time frame. So I don't know if that helps answer your question. So it just depends on the deal, but it's having the bullet lock and loaded so we can pull the trigger.
No, that didn't really answer it. Because the way I understood it is that you all vote on the deal. So how do
Yeah.
you get everybody to vote and move the deal through quickly is what I'm asking.
Yeah, for sure, Tisha. Great question. So what we see really common on the platform is people will have one business day to vote and decide on if the group is going to move forward or not in buying that property. And things move quickly because everyone in the club cares, right? Like that's the part about the club is everyone is in the club because they want to invest, they actually care and they want to grow their money. So when there is a great deal that your club leader is bringing in, people aren't going to waste time, right? Like they want to deploy their capital as quickly as possible on a great deal, right? So that's why people are willing to vote just within a day. The club leader, they can host, they can make a quick recording, they can host a quick Zoom just to, walk everyone through the numbers, right? Everyone can underwrite it together. And, by the end of the hour, right? Or by the end of the day, if you need a little bit more time, you should have plenty of time to do your own due diligence and be like, yes, we did the underwriting today. Things look good. If it's the thesis, like I am down. Like I vote yes on approving that as a club. We move forward with this opportunity. And if it reaches, let's say, 80% consensus from the group, then people move forward. There's no like waiting around, seeing, what's happening. Like everybody here really cares. They understand that great deals move fast, which is why people are willing to, make a decision pretty much by the end of the business day on whether or not the group is going to acquire that property or not.
So if like someone's going out of country or vacation, do they just assign a proxy for a period of time, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's really up to you. Like if you have someone, that can serve as a proxy. That's also why, usually like 80% is a good threshold where it's enough from the group where, like it's not going to be something that totally doesn't make sense, right? Like if 80% of the people are saying yes, like likely yes, it does fit the criteria. And that way, in case someone is having an emergency, they didn't get a response, the group can still take action together.
But guys, I just want to add too, as an investment and as a group and someone who does investment, guys, time is of an essence. Like investment does not wait. Like how many people have lost deals because of just lingering, right? It's just deals are lost daily. So like she said, good deals don't last. Just so you know, but don't go a club with people you don't trust. That's gonna be, a very important statement there.
Hey, Pat, probably the biggest thing, like, because I worked with a lot of investors as an agent back when there's all those foreclosures, and the investors that could make a decision quickly and had the cash got the deals. The people who had to think about it a day or two, they never heard from me again.
Yes. Thank you.
That's a good point. Yes, Ebner, sorry.
Hey guys, good morning. So I just had a quick question. So when the voting takes place and they put the deal in the platform, say I did my deposit in that scenario where she allocates 15,000 and then her 2% deposit is 300. When the voting takes place and you decide you want to jump on that deal, is that when the rest of the funds are like withdrawn or when you make the rest of the deposit for that scenario for the 15,000?
Yeah, so if the group is working with the club leader, like for example, Pat and Chris, right? Like they are looking at so many deals every single day where, likely there's not going to be a long waiting game between the club actually filling up and actually finding the right opportunity. So in that scenario, it could be that the rest of the 98% of the funds are due pretty much as soon as all the legal paperwork and the LLC is set up, right? Because you all are going to be looking at deals super quickly. But, you could have another club leader that is like, hey, I think we might take, 20 to 30 days to even find an opportunity. In that case, right, you don't need everyone to put the 98% of their funds, as soon as the paperwork is ready, right? Like you can wait a little bit longer because the search timeline is a little bit longer. So in that scenario, it could be like, at day 30, right? When there's like an actual opportunity that's been found and the group, likes and is moving forward, they, pull the remaining 98% of the capital there. So the specific timeline, it really just depends on like the group dynamic and how soon are people going to be looking at opportunities that could, be potentially invested in.
Okay, and say for example you need 200,000 for a deal once, and people vote, and the group gets to 200,000. Then if there's anybody else that wanted to invest at that point, they would have to wait for the next deal. In other words.
So it's a group decision. So it's not going to be like some of the investors like make it to the deal, some don't. It's like as long as 80% of the group votes yes, then the entire club's capital is going to be deployed.
Okay, gotcha.
I have it's a very good question. Matt is asking, what is the typical breakdown for the returns on investment? Does each investor receive a percentage of the dividends depending on how much they invest in the club? Like, for example, if I put in, does it come with different percentages depending on the amount you invest? Or it depends on a club or on a leader, or does it change the dividends or the percentage?
Yeah, great question, Matt. So the return on investment in terms of like the properties or the investment strategy, that is different per club, right? Like so you want to look into the more specifics of that. Like if Chris is doing a co-living, right? Like that has its own return profile, right?
Can I ask you something? Just like to my co-living one, can I put if somebody invest 200,000, I will give you that person a higher return than the person investing 5,000. Can I set up my a club like that, or the co-living fund or the club, or no, or is the same return for everybody? Do you see what I mean? Because it starts
Yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah.
complicated.
So as like better practice, just to keep it fair for everyone in the club and make it super collaborative, it's generally better to just make it you know the same return profile for everyone and not do a lot of like separation for like, oh, here's my bracket for like investors with this check size. It just makes things feel more like segregated amongst the club. So generally we say like better practice where you just make things the same. And then each investor, their percent ownership in the club is what their investment in is divided by the total amount of money the club is pooling together. And then fractional, we take care of all of the bookkeeping and the tax filings and the profit distributions, right? So I'll show everyone this screen here. As a member of the club, you get the bank ledger of the club like directly in your club portal on the fractional platform, right? So you can literally see all the income and expenses and profits that's happening in your club, and we will automatically calculate, right, based on how much you invested, how much percent you own of the profits, and just automatically send that to you with the bank account that you have connected on the platform, right? So we're handling all of that. No one is going crazy, like trying to send out, 30 wires or ACH transactions every month. We're doing all the bookkeeping. You get access to the financials for full transparency, right? And then every tax year, we're filing the taxes. We're giving each club member a K1 as well. You just take that to your CPA, type it into TurboTax. It's super straightforward. So really for the club leader and for the club members, you all focus on the actual investing, right? Focus on what you actually want to invest in, underwriting those deals and operating those deals. Let fractional take care of the legal setup and all the back office and compliance work that happens after.
Who else has a
Amazing.
question?
Joe has a question, and then Simone Baker. But guys, I'll put Joe on, and then I actually want to just make an announcement and what the deals that we have. So after that, so go ahead, Joe. Uncle Joe.
No, go ahead, Pat. I'll go after you. I know it's important.
So I just want to talk about, so Chris and I are starting a club, and we're one of the club going to be, it's going to be several things, right? We do fix and flips, we do co-living, but I do want to say, and Chris, I haven't even had a chance for us to discuss some of this here, but there is an opportunity that I am looking at. I was looking at it last night, but it's on a multifamily. It's a smaller multifamily unit here in Georgia. It's in an area that I like, and that's what we're looking to. That's going to be, and I'm changing it a little bit. I know Stella, you and I talked about kind of more in the small.
So,
We'll have a
the
smaller.
link you get it through the QR code there. That's the link for our club, Pat.
Yeah, so it's a
Stella.
link to join the community, join Pat and Chris's community. So signing up is totally free. So make an account, join this community, and then the moment Pat and Chris have their specific thesis ready, they're gonna do a launch, I think sometime next week, but make sure you
Yes.
get today.
We're
So
ready.
next week when the launch is happening, you're not like hectically trying to make an account while listening to their Zoom call. That way, you can just focus on what Pat and Chris actually want to invest in. So just make an account today, just get all of that set up, scan the QR code, and then next week we got the big launch, and then everyone's ready to go.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
And what
Thank
is
you.
the fee again for the club leader? What fees we pay, Stella?
Yeah, great question. So Setting up a account on Fractional, it's totally free. Trying to start a club is free as well. So Fractional, we pretty much don't make money unless the club is actually successfully formed and everyone is moving forward. And then from there, we have two sets of fees. The first one is the club setup fee, which is 2% of the funds raised. So for that, either like each, individual investor, you all can, pay 2% of whatever you're investing, just so, we can all take care of the legal setup, putting, everyone's funds together, making sure everyone is passing identity verification, all of that. Or, the club leader could cover that. I think it really just depends on what kind of deals people are investing in. Usually for equity, it just makes the most sense for everyone to just split that and pay for it based off of what you're investing. That's usually the most fair. And then throughout the lifetime of the club, for us taking care of, all the back office work, all the compliance, sending out everyone's profits, having that private club page where you all can collaborate together. That's an annual fee of $2,500. And that is a fee just towards the entire club. It is not an individual investor cost. So pretty much, just think of it as like, you can have your cash flow just cover for that, right? You don't need to hire a CPA or a bookkeeper or a VA anymore. Like, we're taking care of all of that. So it's kind of like a replacement admin or operational cost in that sense.
Stella, how can I get the link to put on the chat?
Yeah, let me put it in the chat.
Yeah. But
yeah.
anyways, guys, you guys can go in there, set up your account. It doesn't mean you guys gotta put your money right away. Just create the account if you're interested in looking, shopping. There's gonna be other people, like doing a bunch of stuff. So, get in there and learn. That's what I would do,
Exactly. Yes.
It's right there. Okay.
Stella, what was the 25? I talked to one of you guys from Fractional, and they said something about $25 a month. What was that $25 for? Do you know?
Yeah, Tisha, that is a different community. It's the Fractional Accelerate community. So that is more for people who don't already have like a club leader that they know and want to work with. So a lot of folks, they find Fractional on the internet or on Google. They don't work with, a leader like Pat and Chris, right? So they're not super sure what clubs to join and what they want to invest in. So they'll join the Accelerate community to, get access, right, to different leaders talking about their clubs so that they can decide who they want to invest with. So for you, Tisha, it's totally optional. You don't have to join, especially since you're already part of this community. So yeah, totally optional, completely up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to go back to this deal, right? So this is a deal we're looking at. Just give you guys an example. So this is a multifamily deal. It's a mid multifamily deal here in Atlanta. So it's in a good area that I like, and the idea and the twist that we want to talk about, because Chris and I are pretty much we're full blast on co-living. So I want to take this multifamily deal and I want to convert a good portion of it. Like, how people talk about multifamily and they're talking about like they're putting it into like Airbnb and things like that. But this is a multifamily where I want to take a good portion of some of these buildings and test out the co-living model in a multifamily. So those are some deals. We're gonna talk more about that deal maybe in the next Zoom. Stella, we're definitely gonna bring you back and we can kind of go into more of those deals. But those are the stuff, right? Those are the stuff we're gonna raise capital for. Those are the stuff that we're gonna do here in Atlanta, and those are the stuff that we're gonna need more capital for. So anyway, so those are one. And then I just want to just tell you guys just a quick story in terms of deals that we look at, right? So we do creative deals. We're a creative group. Everything we do is creative. So just as an example, from a co-living standpoint, there's a deal that I did with my team that was, and I've told this deal before in our co-living meetup, but right, it was a $5,000 entry fee, right? It was a $5,000 entry fee. It was, I think, a total of $20,000 deal that we got into with the rehab that we turn around, and then we own that co-living property. Right? It's a 7-bedroom and it's cash flowing. And it's, $20,000. How many people can get into that? Like, I'm sure you guys would want to get into those kind of deals. So those are some of the low entry deals, but then we have bigger deals. We have deals that are like fix and flip deals, things like that we can do. Like I said, like we're planning on doing, probably like 10 fix and flips this year. So those are the deals that we can all get together and kind of do. And those are things that we're going to raise capital for. So but look forward for that. And Stella, we're definitely going to bring you back on the next one, because I know people what I'm seeing is people have 10,000 questions. There's a lot of questions out there, which is awesome, which means that people are interested. So, but that's what I have for now. I'm not going to get too much because we're getting kind of towards the end. We can have more questions towards the end. Uncle Joe, go ahead and ask your question, sir.
All right. Good morning, familia. Hope everybody's having a blessed Friday. Stella, I had an amazing conversation with her and Edgar last week. Just blew my mind. The biggest takeaway of this, guys, is for those that don't have much to invest in but want to have proximity to Pat and Christiane, this is your opportunity to hop on, guys. When you have proximity to Pat and ask him a question about the project that you maybe put in only $5,000 or $10,000, let me tell you, that has significant value, like huge value, because now you're earning and learning at the same time. You're earning your position as a partner, and you're learning the co-living market. It's not easy, but when you have individuals like Pat and Christiane taking charge in this market, your opportunity is here, guys. So stop being on the fence. It's 2025. The first quarter is already almost done. Man, take action. Execute. Stella and her team, they're doing all of the legal side of it.
Yeah.
You're doing all the legal side of it. So it's not like, oh, well, this money, I don't know where this money. No, listen, guys, this money is going to a pool. And inside that pool is a community. And you have to have X amount of thumbs ups to invest in a project. And understand this. Pat and Christiane, they've already done their due diligence when they bring a deal to the community. So there's no time. Okay, well, let me think about, guys. Real estate, like they say, you'll lose a deal quick. These individuals have already done their due diligence and they're ready to execute with partners. So, guys, I give it to you. Kudos, Stella. You have a hell of a platform. We do have an appointment next week. Looking forward to it. I was hoping you was here this weekend.
I know, right? Yes.
I love Atlanta, but I caught the flu last week, so that was not a good time for me. But I will be out there. It's honestly, Atlanta's one of my favorite markets, and y'all got the best people here. And
I mean, you invest here, right, Stella? So it's just like so many people like you guys, like it's amazing. They wanted to invest in Georgia. So, like it's, I think for me and Pat, just for me in the co-living side, I want to start eventually doing ground up, like build to rent as a co-living style. Like I have a lot of great ideas, and I think co-living is just starting out. A lot of people don't know, but it's going to take off a lot because the lack of affordability is still here. It's still going to be here. So I see a lot of chances for growth and scaling on the co-living side. So very excited. And when I heard about this and got more details from Stella, I mean, this is amazing that, I have a lot of people that say, hey, how can I invest with you co-living? But they, like I'm always trying to get them into a deal, but sometimes it's like 10,000 here, 15,000 there. Now we have a place for people to come in. It's going to be so amazing. I'm so excited.
I love it. Me too.
Guys, give on the comments. Give her a round of applause. Please thank Stella for coming on. Please thank you so much for coming on, Stella. What do you guys think about this value that you would bring?
Thank you for creating this. This is amazing. Like for price that we pay as the club leaders, it's nothing for all the value that you guys provide, K1s, bookkeeping, compliance, I mean, legal side. It's amazing. I know how much it is to create a fund, and this club here is so much simpler and more open too. I love it.
I'm excited for the launch next week. Y'all are gonna kill it.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, we're definitely. Yeah, we'll see you back soon, Stella, because we're definitely gonna. I think we got to do like round 2 of this here. So it's been amazing, guys. It's early morning. We had like up to 60 people here today, so I think it was a packed house. So yeah, we definitely want to bring more value back to the community, to the Atlanta community, and I think this is amazing. So
yes, and then guys, if you guys got any value from this, repost, take a picture of this, put out there, say that like I'm part of this group, and they brought all of this, like just to so we can see more people and help more people. More people can join our Zoom, and we're able to bring more people if we the bigger of an audience we have. So. Yes.
And then Chris, I just want to mention, guys. So this lovely lady here, she has a podcast. All right, she's pushing her podcast out in on YouTube. If you guys need to see this, this is going to be in a recording in Christianity's podcast.
Yes.
What is that? What is your YouTube channel, Chris, and your podcast? Is it?
Yeah, and I'll put in our page too, guys. You know, for you guys, most of you guys know that once it's done, I put it on the YouTube and I create a post on a Facebook group, so you guys can go straight to the video and like and subscribe.
Yes, guys.
Give us some love
Please,
back.
please. So, who needs to get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Are you talking with me?
Stella, if someone needs yes, your information. Someone needs to get in touch with you. Where can they find you, Stella? Where can they reach out to you?
Yes, I just dropped my email in the chat. It's just stella@fractional.app. I am on Instagram, Facebook, all that as well. So feel free to follow me, send me a friend request. Yeah, find me on Fractional. I'm on Fractional literally like every minute of the day. So yeah, find me on Fractional as well.
Wonderful. Are you going to be in Dallas in Squad Up?
Yes, I will be at Squad Up. So see you all in person. Yes.
Can't wait.
Awesome, guys. Well, guys, Atlanta and the South, guys, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a wonderful, wonderful Zoom. Thank you so much, Stella. Guys, please give her a round of applause. And we'll see you guys next Friday, right? So, and then the live meetup, guys. So next Tuesday is our live meetup. So we'll see you guys next Friday. Is from the Earth Brewery at 6:30 p.m.
Tuesday 6:30.
Tuesday, that's what it is. Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Thank you so much, Stella. Thank you for coming on.
Bye, guys. Bye, Stella. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.